Folks, welcome back to So Bad It's Good. I've been looking forward to this for a hot minute because I watched a competition reality series this season called Deal or No Deal Island. And I really kind of fell in love with this show. And I was lucky enough to do exit interviews with the contestants. You can catch up on the full season on Peacock if you want to jump into it. I don't want to spoil too many things. But there was one contestant in particular that I really enjoyed speaking to. And then I really enjoyed following him on social media. And we had a really nice DM exchange about reality TV. And I'm just excited to talk to him today. So from Deal or No Deal Island, but he's also a fitness instructor and so much more, the one and only Phillip Solomon. Welcome to the show.
How are you today, my friend?
I'm good. How are you? I mean, you really do kind of radiate positivity. I was already which I think we all need. Has that always been something that you've managed to do?
To be honest, yes. I live in a world of optimism and delusion at all times. There's no reason for me to be this happy, but we're out here doing it.
So it's not just an act. You're actively happy.
I mean, I am actively happy and optimistic. I'll give you the Spark Notes version of it all, because I feel like people are you're more than just picking weights up and putting them down again. To be honest, Spark Notes version of it all, I've been through the big long journey of mental health, anxiety, depression, all that other crazy stuff. And I think that after you work your way out of it, you realize in adulthood that you're listen, I've had a bad day. Me getting stuck in traffic, me missing an appointment, that's not a bad day. And once you kind of reason it all out and be I've been through so much, these minor inconveniences, I'm going to be okay. And I feel if you can kind of use that as your motivation every day and being listen, my goal is to be a little better than I was yesterday. No more, no less.
I love that. I mean, listen, I want you to live with me. I mean, you got to live inside all of our heads. This is what we need in the year 2025. I just got back. I finally started working out with a personal trainer a couple weeks ago. Just got back from a workout right now, which, by the way, I think you're a Barry's fitness instructor as well. And by the way, if you're watching this, I know most people listen, but if you're watching, the dude is ripped up. He's wearing a tank top where I can see full breastises and they're just huge muscles.
Listen, if all I can bring to you is optimism and good tits, that's all I care about in a day, right? I'm good. If that's all I can bring to your day, I'll bring you that plus some. I'm fine.
Before we get into the reality shows and TV and all of that, what has been your journey with fitness, which I know is kind of people don't like sometimes to talk about that, but I've been fascinated this last month trying to get back on a healthier way of living. And that's, by the way, not why I had you on, but I'm just finishing this workout. And I will say, as much as I don't want to admit it, there is a mental clarity that I'm feeling in these last couple of weeks after I've gotten over some of the fear of trying to get back my health in order. When did that journey start for you?
Number one, don't lie. You invited me on here for free exercise advice. That's number one. Yeah. So don't lie to all these people.
We're not even recording this. How
don't lie to all these people. Right. Okay. Number two, I think that it's one of the things where if you watched the show, I did kind of go into it a little bit, but I'll give you the exclusive. I'm a first generation American from Caribbean immigrants, and we're not really taught good fitness and nutrition. We're taught if you're eating at all, you're eating well. And it was never really something that I had to worry about until I was wait, I'm super fat. And so I spent most of my life overweight. Right around 18 is when I looked in the mirror and I said, no more. And I trained myself. I ran around the block exactly one time and it was awful. And then the next day I ran around the block twice. And that's just the kind of person I am. Before you knew it, when I was 18, I dropped about 45 pounds in 3.5 months or so, which when you're 18, you can do that shit. You can't do that anymore. But when you're that age, it just kind of all drips off and you're okay, I'm fine. But I think from then I really through instructing fitness and through teaching middle school, I realized how important psychology and vulnerability is to working out, of you having to look in that mirror and say, I'm not happy. I need to make a change. That's hard, especially
to,
for like
to face
adults.
yourself, to face. I mean, like it's hard enough to face the world, but to face yourself.
Who's out here trying to make self-realizations in this economy? Get out of here. We don't have that kind of time.
Yeah, we don't have time to learn about ourselves right now. Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Wait,
the
so
world
do you
is
remember
falling
that
apart.
day? Do you remember that day specifically when you were 18? Like, do you remember what led up to that day? Or like, when you decided to run around that block, do you remember like, oh, I was watching this, or I just had a conversation with this person and I was down and I said no more?
I do actually, and you were the first person to ever ask me that. So you're getting the exclusive on my childhood trauma. So I hope you're ready.
That's what. Yeah, I got an exclusive on childhood trauma. This is like a whatever award you get for podcasting. This should be it right here.
Let's go. So when, and I don't know if like everyone's school did this, in phys ed class where every guy takes off their shirt and then you get tested for scoliosis, right? That is some nightmare porn. What is that? What is that?
Oh my God. And it was that day? It was that day?
So we are all in the gym, me and like every guy in my grade, like over 100 of us, just like shirtless, unsure of the world. And then, do you remember this? You had to like slap your arms together and hinge at the hip and just hang there like some kind of like it was just horrendous. And I was like, you know what? And we're done. And
you
also
unlocked a core memory probably for a lot of us right now.
Not only that day did I realize that, hey, you're fat, I also realized I had scoliosis, and that was the worst day.
Oh my God. It was a double trouble. Oh my. Well, I remember this and I was like, there's no way this is true. I remember I think this was elementary school, not even junior high. They had just a rope hanging from the ceiling and we were just supposed to climb this rope. And it was like to the top of this. It was way too tall of a rope for any kid to climb. And
there was no skill set. You're like, what do I do with this? And they're like, go up. And you're like, how? And they're like, I don't know. And you're like, oh, okay.
That was gym back then. That was like our gym activity in Olathe, Kansas, where I grew up. And I was like, that is insane. There's no way that's still happening now.
Wait, you grew up where? I need that one more time.
Olathe, Kansas. It's about like an hour away from Topeka.
Is that as Caucasian as it sounds, or just like on paper?
No, like one of my best friends was this black kid, Damian Johnson. So, I mean, I think it was very Caucasian, but it wasn't.
Not the Damian Johnson. You're like, wait, do you know him?
yeah. Wait a sec. You might know this guy. You're right.
I'm like, actually, I saw him at the weekly meeting. Oh, Damian. I know that guy. Yeah. Easy.
Well, I'll be sure to text him in our group chat later. That's great.
Honestly, I'll text him in our group chat.
Wait, so how do you go from living your life or whatever it's been up to this point, and then what is the opportunity to even go on to a show like Deal or No Deal Island? That's a big NBC show. A lot of people watch this. And then on top of it, the second season, they were bringing in heavy hitters like David from Survivor Australia. You had Parvati. You had Dr. Will. What was your relationship? Like, were you aware of Deal or No Deal Island? Were you trying to get on reality TV before you got that show?
So I come from, again, a long line of delusion and confidence. So if you asked me in elementary school, are you going to be a star? I would have been like, absolutely yes. And so the thing is, you have to know that your story is important and significant. And when I say that, I don't mean any more important or significant than anyone else's, but you have to know that your place in the world is different and new, and you're going to bring a perspective that no one else has brought before. So I was auditioning for The Real World. I got callbacks at 18 and 19 and 20 years old, and I never really thought like anything of it. Then I went through the process for The Circle season 6 maybe, and then I didn't really hear anything from that either. And then I finally was like, you know what, I'm just going to leave it up to the universe. And Deal or No Deal Island actually recruited me on Instagram, and I was like, you know what, okay, universe, I see you. I understand exactly what's happening. I had not seen a single episode of the show, so I did interview number 1 of just like tell me about yourself, what's the hook, what's the energy, what's like the vibe, without seeing a single episode. Then I went back and watched the whole thing, and I was like, this I can do. And when I got to the island, I met all these amazing reality celebrities that like I was very familiar with, but you also would have thought I was one of them. In my head, I was like, just like Dr. Will, Parvati, and me just having lunch. Like, it makes no sense why I thought I was as significant as they were, but I just
isn't that a
jumped right
key
in
to
there.
success of like being somewhat delulu, like somewhat delusional, like really
You
helps in
have to
this
be.
life?
You literally need to be like, yo, I belong here. I am having pasta at this table with the golden god from Survivor Australia and Parvati and Dr. Will, and I could get rid of any of them whenever I want to because I'm me. Like, it's the weirdest thing on earth that once the cameras and lights go up, you saw a lot of people's personalities turn off, and then a few like spark right up. And I just happened to be one of the ones that I was like, well, I decided I'm the main character on this day. And it was fine.
But I also want to clarify to the audience that hasn't seen it. You weren't like giving main character energy in the sense of like a villain, or there's certain archetypes in reality TV, and sometimes you're like, man, I love to hate that person, but I do hate that person. You weren't a hated character, you were a beloved character. And I think there's also a difference of like, you can be delusional but still be loved. Like, sometimes delusional people would be like, oh, so that person's a jerk, or they're like that wasn't you at all. Like, you kind of shined by example rather than being a Dr. Will type.
Yeah, I think for me, I had to just do what I do in all aspects of my life. I taught middle school English for 12 years. Now I'm a full-time trainer. And like, the thing that's always resonated with my students, with my clients, or whatever else, they're like, you're so vulnerable. And I feel like even you'll admit, like, once you speak to me for like 3 minutes, you're like, I know him. I know like the vibe. I know the deal. I know the energy. And like, that doesn't change, whether it's on social media or whatever else. I've been very forthcoming about overcoming things in my life in certain situations, whether it comes from being first generation American, being the only face of color in my like high school or graduating class, overcoming mental health stuff, speech stuff. Like, I've done it all, and I have been a very open book when it comes to all that stuff. And I just feel like I need to, out of respect for my students and my clients and everyone else, that I've always said, don't be afraid to be uncomfortable for purpose, with purpose, on purpose.
Why? I mean, like, I think about that so much, and, it doesn't really change as I get older. Is that, what is it that really any big changes or positive changes in our lives have to come from feeling uncomfortable? Like, why, like, you're like, why you have to be uncomfortable to actually change your life sometimes in better ways? Like, you never hear a story of like, yeah, it's been pretty comfortable, and then I made my first billion. It always goes through some sort of internal struggle or external war with people to actually get to a place of somewhat personal success. Okay, folks. This is exciting. Let's talk about our friends at Naked Wines. Now, we are fast approaching summer, and there is nothing that screams summer like a beautiful array of wines. And sometimes you are too busy to go to the grocery store or the wine store to grab them. But with Naked Wines, you can get the most beautiful, pristine selection of wine. You just go to the website, put in all the different types of wine you like to drink, and then they select these kind of amazing wines. Also, what I find it good for is if you're invited to something, and I don't get invited out much, but when I do, you're supposed to bring something. And nothing says you are a great guest if you bring a bottle of wine. So it's always good to have wine on store. It makes you the most interesting person at the party, right? And also, have you ever wanted to learn more about wine, but you couldn't figure out where to start? Or when you do start, it kind of feels like too much. So our next partner, Naked Wines, has changed the game for learning about wine without having to take a whole class about it, because boo learning. The podcast, this one, is sponsored by Naked Wines. It's 2025. Do you still shop for wine like it's 2025? Naked Wines is a service that directly connects you to the world's finest independent winemakers so you can get award-winning wine delivered straight to your door. And use our code SOBAD. Listen, this is so great. That should be the product code, but we're doing So Bad because that's the name of the show. So Bad for the code and the password at nakedwines.com. I truly want you to do this. Use code SOBAD for the code and the password, nakedwines.com, and you can get their incredible deal of 6 bottles for just $39.99. I had my last bottle of Naked Wines 2 weeks ago because unfortunately I'm on a cleanse right now. I'd like to be drinking all of the Naked Wines. And it was just an amazing experience. We had a beautiful dinner with it. It was the perfect start to a really nice weekend. So, how do they do this amazing deal? Naked Wines connects winemakers and wine drinkers directly, allowing for your vineyard to your door delivery at up to 60% off what you would pay in store. Now, by cutting out the traditional retail middleman costs and markups, winemakers can pass those savings on to you without skimping on quality. I don't know. This is just a really cool service. And when I went to their website, it really does kind of map out everything. And it really does ask, do you like bold flavors? Do you like whites? Do you like reds? I mean, it really is an exciting process. And the best thing is you do not have to spend time in your car to go get this. And it is relatively inexpensive. Naked Wines has been around for 15 years, over 15 years, and funds over 90 independent winemakers around the world. With no commitments or membership fees, you can enjoy Naked Wines hassle-free. And don't forget, you can pause or cancel this at any time. So just because you've got a trip coming up doesn't mean you can't enjoy Naked Wines before or after that much needed vacation. So this is the big one. Pay attention. Now is the time to join the Naked Wines community. Head to nakedwines.com/so bad. Click enter voucher and put in my code, Ryan Bailey's code, so bad, for both the code and password for 6 bottles of wine for just $39.99 with shipping included. My God, shipping included? So that's $100 off your first 6 bottles of wine at nakedwines.com/so bad and use the code and password so bad for 6 bottles of wine at $39.99. Whew, do this, folks. I'm telling you, this is a good deal. Success.
I don't know if you've met any of the, obviously you have not met any of the self-made CEOs here in Austin, but what I'll tell you is sometimes it does work out like
Oh, so yeah, so you live in Austin, Texas. What?
I live in Austin, home of so I'm the DEI CEO of this company, and we started this company for like reusable toilet paper. It's pretty green, and like I'm like, I don't know what you do for a living. Like they just say these acronyms all day that I was like, yeah, I got absolutely nothing here. But I will say I have not lived an easy life, but I have lived a hilarious one, and that's all that counts, honestly.
I mean, truly, if you can laugh at your own life, if you can take somewhat humor from anything, it's all part of your story. So you go on Deal or No Deal Island, which like I kept singing its praises the entire season, and I think it will get picked back up for a 3rd season. But I'm always curious about people that go on these shows of then what happens afterwards, because you go back to your life in Austin, Texas, and it's not like I'm not saying like, oh, you touched greatness. Like it was a great season of a show, but you do have to go back to your real life. And does it change your overall goals of what you want presented in your life next, or what you want? Because I was like, oh, are you moving to Los Angeles? Which always is the weird first question when you're like, yep. Oh, you're going to go to Los Angeles, right?
Yeah. I've always kind of considered it like this. I think that when you get an opportunity like being on a reality show, you can either use it as an experience or as a platform. And I've had so many amazing cast members and people be like, that was a great month of my life and I'll remember it forever and ever. And I was like, that's great. But in the meantime, I prefer to use it as a platform. Like since the show, I've been hosting the reality after show with Johnny Hairplay. I've done 10 podcasts. I've done interviews for men. I've been in Men's Journal twice. I'm doing some stuff for some other magazines that'll be out next month. We're talking runway shows, red carpet. Like I'm using it because I think once you taste it, you have the opportunity to be like, do I want more of this or not? But either way, it's going to be hard work. And so I kind of saw it as this is my beginning to a new chapter of the journey to the new story. So tell everyone to be prepared to be tired of this because I'm gonna be
No,
everywhere.
you got, I mean, like, listen, I actually believe you. And you got, like, I'm going to suggest you go follow him on Instagram on top of all the other things. But you do, like, I don't always get to see everybody in my feed, but whenever you pop up, it does, like, generate a smile. And that's, like, I think that's one of the best compliments you can give somebody if you're like, oh man, I'm so attracted to what you're doing, or what, like, there is this kind of, I don't know. I think it's just a very hopeful, which is what we need right now more than ever. But if you were to choose, like, blue sky it, what is your dream gig besides, like, going on tour with Beyonce or Katy Perry?
I mean, number one, Katy Perry went to that show last week.
Yeah, no, that's what I was going to ask you about.
Also. Let's talk about that also. But I mean, going on tour with Beyonce is not bad. A lot of people don't know this. I'm a trained dancer, choreographer, singer. We just didn't get to see any of it, like, on the show. Like,
Deal or No Deal Island didn't have any dance break, like, sequences at all.
Honestly, if Joe Manganiello wanted to have a lap dance contest with me, I was ready. I'm there, but
sure he gets that a lot. Yeah,
I'm sure he does not.
Yeah.
But I think for me, I love doing what we're doing right now. I love finding out about people, talking about them, talking about me. If I could ever get myself into, like, a Watch What Happens Live kind of situation where, like, I want to talk reality, I want to talk Bravo, I want to talk all the things.
And we're going to talk about that in a second, because we were DMing about certain shows and I was like, oh yeah, he's like one of us. Like, I mean, you guys, I'm talking to you guys listening or watching, he is one of us. He watches the same shows. He has hysterical observations. Like, I'm like, oh, it's always so comforting. It's like we speak a secret language when we watch all of these shows. So you want to keep doing this, but there's not, like, a reality show. Cause I always wonder that reality show, like, feeder system of, like, if you go on Survivor, you could possibly go on Traders, you could possibly go on Big Brother. Like, listen, are there any other things like that in your future?
I am here whenever Traders or The Challenge or anyone wants to call me. Honestly, I will go to the opening of a paper bag. I don't care. Call me, I'll go. Like, I just like interacting with, like, people. I love competition. Like, I think one of the things that, and I feel like you're the same way, when everyone's like, you're really into, like, reality TV. And I was like, I am, but it's because I'm really into psychology and sociology. And so when you see, let's say, a farmer from the Midwest who's never met anyone outside of their race or gender experience in a position of power, whatever else, and you see them interact with someone like Tiffany New York Pollard or, like, Omarosa, like, I'm sat, I'm there. I want to know what's going to happen, because I think that humans gain a greater understanding of themselves and the world through interacting with people that are unlike them. And so I will meet anyone. I will shake those hands. I want to see people meet and be like, how are we going to work this out?
And I will, like, the Real World, which you auditioned for 3 or 4 times, championed that. Like, I remember those early seasons of the Real World. What was it? Season 2, when you had John the cowboy, like, he had no experience with anything outside of his little bubble, or Julie in the first season of The Real World. And they legitimately were seeing things that they had never seen before. And now it's kind of gotten stylized to a certain degree where, it's not sometimes as gritty or realistic because we've put so much fluff around it. But I agree with you. I love to see people interact that normally wouldn't interact at all. And the other thing I love is when people aren't threatened by a new experience, a new person, learning something new. Do you watch Bravo's The Valley?
I am. Jax Taylor. Okay, here's the thing. And, like,
if you're about to say you think Jax Taylor is hot, we're gonna have issues.
Oh, absolutely not. But I think that I'm so sorry. I love when Jax was like, you guys, I'm an addict. And the rest of us are like, I know, we have eyes and ears and noses and senses. And the thing is, Jax had to walk so James Kennedy could run. And that's fine. Like, there were a lot of things along the way that I'm like, yeah, this was problematic.
Well, it is weird, like the pipeline of Bravo men to complete disaster. And, James Kennedy, I don't know if he's going to be able to, or even should be able to, I mean, hopefully personally recover from what he's done, but I don't know professionally if you can recover. I don't think we'll be seeing him on reality TV anytime soon, but Jax Taylor is going to be back. Like, he's going to be back on the 10th episode of The Valley. But to your point a second ago, they had this really interesting conversation, and that actually continues in tonight's The Valley, where Jasmine, who's in a loving lesbian relationship, talks about, like, listen, it's different. Like, it's different when we go into a bar, we're almost fetishized in terms of like, oh, kiss each other, da 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 da, instead of actually being a real relationship. And I thought it was such a interesting thought that I had never thought about because, I've not had to, but something that I was like, wow, I actually learned something learned something besides Jax Taylor being gross. I learned something from The Valley that I had no idea about.
I agree. I love my friends that are willing to have difficult conversations and take my experience from the world and be like, okay, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I've never viewed it like that. That I'm like, you can take any person of color and ask them how old they were or the experience or the relationship that made them realize, oh, I'm not unattractive. I'm just not a white person. And it hits different and it hurts different, but but it's also kind of empowering because you're like, oh, I get it. You're like, oh, I'm not an ugly person. I'm not undeserving of love in a relationship. It turns out I'm just not like everyone else. And so I'm with Jasmine completely in the idea that, like, the amount of people that have said to my face in person, you'd be really hot if I was into black people, that I was like, you just said that out loud. That's crazy. And so after
reality.
a while, oh yeah, no, that is very much reality. So I do applaud her for bringing that up. But at the same time, I follow Reddit and Twitter and whatever else. And I'm also there to see everyone go, of course she has to make it one of those things. And I'm like, okay. So like
she's speaking from her experience, but see, that's what frustrates me about these shows. Isn't that what we want to see, is people bringing themselves and their own experiences? And what I love is that we as the audience, or me as a protected white male with a lot of privilege, I see a lot of people, I'm not specifically speaking about The Valley, but you'll see like, I want to fight against that comment. And it's like, well, why? Why do we have to feel pressed? First off, it's not about us. It's somebody else's story. And secondly, wouldn't you want people to listen to what I have to say as much as, I want to listen to what you have to say as much as I want to say what I want to say. Like, it's a two-way street, and both ways of that street are really exciting if we can get over our own bullshit.
I mean, the thing that I'm intrigued with, like, the most right now, which you could even say in my heart right now, so bad, it's good, is I have learned more. Actually, I'm not even going to say as a country, as a society, we've learned more about Salt Lake City, Utah, against our will in the past 3 years than we have ever wanted to. And at the same time, you're like, yo, should we go for a weekend? Because they're apeshit crazy. Between the Housewives and Mormon wives, I'm like, yep, sign me up. I'm going. I want to go.
I mean, I keep saying it on the show. I got to do boots on the ground in Provo, Utah, because obviously they're like, it's a different kind of water down there. They're drinking something way different, but it's
swig. They're drinking swig, and I'll meet you there. I'll meet you there for a soda. We'll do a live show right there, and we'll talk about it. Great.
I mean, well, have you dipped into the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives at all, besides just seeing it online?
I can't even swim, and I've more than dipped. I went in hard. I did the Reddit research on like the old Mom Talk moms, the new one. Oh, I am in it. So in it to the point where I was almost like, should I order hair extensions? Like, I was in it. And so the thing is, if you want to go for a weekend to Salt Lake City, Utah, I'm like, let me pack. I live 8 minutes away from the airport. Let's go.
What we got to do? We got to do that. Then we got to drive and go to like Meredith Marks jewelry store. We got to try to find Lisa Barlow over on
Meredith Marks don't live in Salt Lake City. I'm sorry. Hot take. She lives in New York. She has always lived in New York.
I know.
The rental.
people like the reality of it is that, and she's like, it's very simple. I spend some time in New York and some time in Utah, and
She
I
only
always love.
spends 8 weeks in Utah, and it is to film that show, and that's fine. But
But
call it
Phillip,
what
let
it
me
is.
tell,
Call
if
it what
I
it is.
gave you $40,000 tomorrow, could I pay you to say that you live in Los Angeles?
Yup.
You're like, yep, you know it. Okay,
All day, every day.
So so Secret Lives of Mormon Wives just came out 2 weeks ago. Are you one of those TV viewers like Deal or No Deal Island? You had to wait every week for a new episode, which, by the way, my only complaint about this show, I said all season, was that I wanted hour-and-a-half episodes like they do with Survivor, because
Yes.
the hour episodes, you didn't get enough. You got a taste of the personal stories. And I think it's a good enough show that it can handle the weight of an hour and a half. And that's why I sometimes, well, I prefer Survivor in that sense, not that they're toe to toe in any way. But do you like binging a show like Secret Lives of Mormon Wives season 2? All 10 episodes were out on that Thursday night, and most of us, like myself, I was done by like Sunday of watching all of them. But then we don't. I feel like I'm scared that the conversation kind of dies like a week from now on talking about that. How do you prefer to watch your TV?
So Deal or No Deal Island was a hard one, especially for me because I feel like I'm a multifaceted individual. I think that only having the hour, and we have to remember, it's not a Paramount Plus hour, a Peacock hour. It's a
43
network
minutes.
TV hour. So we have 41 minutes to get through these crazy excursions where y'all didn't understand the rules at home. Imagine how confused we were there. Anyway, so like those plus the temple and the elimination. So like they had no choice but to water down the people on it. And like that's the response that I've been getting since people like talk to me one-on-one and they're like, yo, you're so much cooler than the show allowed. And I was like, the show gave me what I can only describe as, you know, that kid in your school that had like a Rolly backpack in the hallway, and you're like, I hate this kid. It gave me Rolly backpack kid energy, and like that's not
Okay,
my
I don't
like,
see.
that's not it.
I'll push up again. I don't think it gave you Rolly Backpack Kid energy. I just think that if you're trying to get a story in that many minutes, I understand. But like you said, you have to do the first challenge, the temple with the briefcases, all of this stuff. It's a lot. So you would have to like tell your story in 3 sentences or less. And if you tuned in every week, there were people that you rooted for. And sometimes with those shows in particular, you're already at an unfair advantage as a new character when you have people like Parvati that we followed for a decade plus. So then you're trying to, not that you're trying to make a mark, but then in the audience's head.
No, I was trying. Your boy was trying.
That's Rolly Backpack Kid energy. Yeah.
Your boy was trying. I was like, excuse me, you didn't give us homework, ma'am. And so I think for me, I prefer the Netflix approach, the Love is Blind approach of like 3 episodes at once. Maybe not Love is Blind this year because that was too long in the pods. Other than that, I love the idea of like 3 episodes. But the issue with it was everyone was like, did you see Secret Lives of Mormon Wives? But like you didn't have any time to digest. So, and then they would bring up something weird from episode like 8. And I'm like, I guess I have to watch the whole thing now. So I had to sit down for 24 hours and do the whole thing, which for a recurring show like them, I think it does work. But for a show like us, like Got to Get Out on Hulu, those people I feel like were almost kind of given the short end of the stick, because for a new person to come onto reality TV and have all the episodes released like all at once, America Loves You, They Hate You, or whatever else, but in 48 hours, it's done. I was on NBC for 12 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. But I still think you shine through all of that. Now, back to Mormon Wives, though. Who are we liking on Mom Talk? Does Taylor Frankie Paul, does she get enough credit for starting Mom Talk? This Demi is trying to rip Mom Talk away from her. She's being accused of. And then we're bringing Vanderpump Villa into it now, which is insane in its own right. What was your takeaway besides it's really this kind of foreign community that we're catching up with? It's just very different than I think a lot of our lives in so many ways. What was your overall take on all the ladies?
I think that Taylor Frankie Paul is more well-adjusted than she should be on paper, coming from that house and those parents. That's right. Number one. We could start there. But also, I think that Jesse is everything. And to me, what's hard is that you can actually watch the episodes if you have an opportunity. Anyone listening at home, go back and watch this season again. As her relationships fall apart with the girls, so does her hair extensions. You can actually watch the hair get worse. That I was like, be friends with Jesse again, because this is bad. Like, they're falling out of her head.
And she owns a hair salon. We can't have this happening on national television.
We can't keep doing this. It's hurting the brand. We can't keep doing this.
You make a great point about Taylor Frankie Paul, and this is one of those things when you live, you're like, oh, these people truly live inside this really interesting, weird bubble. When you see Taylor Frankie Paul's stepdad, her mom, the entire family would be like, what kind of girl are you to go home with him, when it's obviously her douchey dude that she had a baby with? And no offense to that gentleman, but I mean, all offense at the same time. And the whole
his
family
name is Dakota. You know what you signed up for, but still. He gave such weird, well, you were wearing a short skirt, you were asking for it energy, that I'm like, are we still doing this in 2025? We can't still be doing this. Impossible.
But imagine then I get scared that's what Utah is. Just that energy completely. And then it also seems like, you're right, like they're breeding reality stars. It's like the Matrix. They're breeding reality stars over there, from Salt Lake City to Mormon Housewives. There are so many weird examples where I'm like, it's like a bunch of JonBenet Ramseys in a sense of it's like real big pageant energy. And at the same time, it's so viewable. It's so fascinating. And like, even the men are making TikToks. Now they have the dad talk, like the douchey husbands are all banded together making TikToks.
The men of Salt Lake City still haven't been doing it for me. Maybe John Barlow, but like, he also can't parallel park, so there's that. But like, also the men are not it. The men are not it in Utah. But would I still watch Whitney Rose on her healing journey for years? Yes, I would. I'm here for it.
I'm Whitney, Phillip. What's going on? It's so cool here. I love
healing. I'm
Salt Lake City
from trauma.
This past season of Salt Lake City was one of my favorite seasons. And, for all intents and ppurposes, I always point out, we didn't think it was going to be good because we were like, oh, you got rid of Monica Garcia, Reality Von Teese. And then they banged it out in a just really fantastic way, in the way that Beverly Hills, to me, was a very disappointing season where I feel like it gets too much press. And then we've got to bring this season of Atlanta into the conversation, because I want to know how you're feeling about this season thus far. Because we had the return of Phaedra Parks this past Sunday. Oh, you made a face, Phillip.
Okay. The newbies, this Bravo class of 2024-2025 of Bronwyn Newport, Katie Janela, even Angela, Kelly. I'll take, like, these newbies are good. They're real good.
Angela Oakley, like, what a sleeper hit. Like, a slow burn through the season. Like, Kelly, I think, started strong immediately, but Angela really, and the relationship with her husband, Charles, wow.
Who the hell is Charles cooking for? What army of 89 is Charles? He's like, yo, I just got to make some ribs real quick, and then he murders a cow. And I'm like, who's eating all of it? Who's eating it? Tell me who's eating it. I don't understand.
It what a fascinating progression from playing with the Chicago Bulls to now just cooking on Real Housewives of Atlanta. And, but I mean, that's the other thing about reality television is your past always comes back to haunt you, So like, if you sign up for this show, if you're Angela Oakley, your issues with Charles Oakley and the relationships from the past is going to be a storyline. Like, that's the thing that you have to notice. And I wonder, in your opinion, do you ever sit there and question, and maybe this is to yourself as well, but you're more competition reality series at this point. Do you ever wonder why is it worth it when life is so hard already and your own personal struggles are just that, your personal struggles that either take you under or you kind of survive? Why would you then want to add a camera? We're two goofballs talking about them now. Why would you want all of these people talking about you?
Oh, I want it. And I'm going to tell you why. I think
let me stop you right there. I want it. Yeah.
Right. Like, the thing is, if I were getting married, I'd do it on reality TV. If I was getting divorced, I'd do it on reality TV, because I think that, like, that's my real life. And I think that in the most in the most Tamra Judge way possible. If you tell her she has to be on for another year, so figure out something, I'm gonna figure something out. And like I think it's one of those where it also forces you to grow and evolve. If I've learned anything from being on camera, on TV, all over social media or whatever else, you have to really be able to objectively look at yourself. I use reality TV as like a tool. I used to use it as a window, and I think a lot of shows I still use as like a window, whether it's Mormon Wives or Housewives or whatever else, be like, how do these people exist and live? But once you're on it, you use it as a mirror instead. And you get to be like, wow, you handled that incorrectly. Like for me, I got to watch me lose my mind on Parvati and go, not your best work. And like, okay, like I think that like you have to be good enough to be able to watch yourself and not be like, and I would do it again. Like you have to be like, oh, not my best. I lost my mind a little right there. And there are moments of the show, hashtag Harriet Tubman, that I would do again. I would do again. I don't feel bad about, but
I mean, that same thing about like repeating the past. I mean, some of our finest reality stars, they almost fail upwards in that they'll double down, double down, double down, double down. And they're wrong the whole time, but eventually they've doubled down so much that the audience like kind of forgets. And then you eventually become the hero again, just by continuing the same path. I mean, I think Tamra from OC, like you mentioned earlier, a great example of that. She's exhibited the same behavior season after season, and to the point where I was like, why is anybody telling Tamra anything at this point? Like uses it. She's a very adept reality star in the fact that, you know, it's Sheena Shea coded in some ways as well. They're going to make sure they're in the mix and they're collecting information to use on the show. And overall, you think that would hurt them, because overall you would think there would be some unified block of other reality stars on the show going, I'm not telling you nothing, you know?
I live for any, okay, but like as a viewer, you do too. We sit down at like a meal and they're like, who do you trust the least? And I'm like, yep, do it. Like I want, even though that's like not,
are you the troublemaker in your friend group? Are you the troublemaker going? Oh, which, by the way, the Valley episode tonight, where what was it? Was it the Valley or something where they just ask like insane questions just to start trouble? And I was like, this is usually not like a normal friend like group dinner, but it works for reality television. But you like that?
Oh, I do that in real life all the time, but it's only because I don't make small talk. Like I think it's so lame and cheesy to be like, where are you from? What's your favorite color? Whatever else. On that island, I was like, oh my God, what's your relationship like with like your mom? Where do you come from? Why did your parents get divorced? Why can't your uncle live within 10 miles of an elementary school? Like I want it. I want it. Let's go immediately.
Wait, so do you have like a top 5 things that you want to know from people immediately? Like I feel like you have like a whole routine to meet anybody new.
I mean, do you want me to pull out one right now? Do you want to answer one right now, right?
Yes,
on camera. All right.
Yes.
Let's do it. Okay. One of my favorite. Okay. What is one thing that you would want to take from your parents' relationship into your own, and one thing that you would not?
Oh, that's God. See, this is great already. One thing I would want to take is the commitment. Like even through ups and downs, they truly did stay committed to that marriage. Unfortunately, we lost mom about 1.5 years ago, but to the end, they stayed committed to each other. And it wasn't just good times. There were a lot of bad times, and bad times that we were protected from as kids that we didn't know until like way after the fact. The one thing that I would not want to take on is that there was, and I know this is somewhat normal, there was a lot of sniping and bickering and like comments under breaths that I think made kids uncomfortable. And there was a certain way sometimes where I felt the commitment was there, but the communication would be so off, where it was just people that had used to like live, like they lived with each other. They were, you know, they obviously were very in love, but they not roommates, but they were so used to each other that sometimes the actual commitment and conversation about deeper things, I think, was put on the back burner. So when you would see them have a deep conversation, you would almost see the reigniting of love, of like, oh, there you are. You know, you would like, sometimes I would watch a deep conversation happen, even like, you know, in this last decade, where you would see that like, oh, like you would see how they got along when they were in their teens, you know, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah. No, I think that like, but I'll ask things like that because I'll get to know someone way better than that than being like, so what was high school like? You're like, I mean, it was okay. Like, it just like, I like asking the weird things, the hard things, because
But
that's how I learn about
specificity, that
everyone.
you love specificity, which I think also makes the best reality television and the best cultural pop stars, is when people can get specific. Because, you know, one of my favorite podcasters and Sam Sanders, he talks about like the death of monoculture, these things that we all used to love collectively. And now everything's so like kind of specific genres and groups and so many subcultures that we don't have the one thing that we're all drawn to. We're drawn to these little subsections. So you have to be as specific as possible so you can gain your subculture following.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that like that's what reality TV, that's what pop culture is kind of going through right now, of being like, who are you? No, like you're no longer a person, you're a brand, a vibe,
You're a commodity.
an energy. And
Yeah.
like the only, like when people have been asking me for like advice on like, how do you get on a reality show or whatever else? And I was like, know the vibe. Know what you bring. You can't just say like, I'm cool. That doesn't do anything. You have to know that you're like, okay, I've evolved a lot. I had 2 master's degrees by 22, but also I wasn't happy. I taught middle school for
You
12
had
years.
2
and I was
flipping
like,
master's degree by
yeah.
your 22. How dare you? We get off this show. What are you talking
Okay,
about? 2
it
master's degree.
was before I had these tits, so I needed something to fall back
What
on.
are you? What
But
are you,
the thing
Dr.
is,
Wendy? You're Dr. Wendy for Potomac. What are you talking about? 2 master? What are you even talking to me? You should be off like curing cancer right now. 2 master's degrees.
absolutely not. Instead, I'm just out here causing havoc. Just causing havoc, my friend.
Oh my God, I love that. So I mean, like, so you're going. Well, I just want to go back to your reaction when I said Phaedra Parks returned to Atlanta. What was you gave this reaction like, what was that reaction about?
Because I think that
Candy?
the show didn't necessarily need Phaedra back. They just expect, but also I respect the fact that Phaedra was an insurance policy. They thought the new girls were gonna flop,
And
Portia
Kenya,
was
they had
gonna
to
be
leave.
carrying it, right?
Yeah.
And then she was gonna come in and like bring it home. But I think the new girls are bringing it enough where I was like, oh, we didn't really need Phaedra, especially episode like what 11? Like we're like in it. She literally quit Married to Medicine.
I think we
and
have
was like,
I think we have 3 episodes left, so she is like
Yeah.
tail end of the tail end. And like I do love Phaedra, but it is a weird move. But I kind of understand it from a business perspective. What was your take on Kenya?
I was
being-
gonna ask you that.
Well, like what is like, because obviously she had those pictures of Brit Eady, and what I heard from like behind the scenes is that these were like underage pics of Brit Eady that she had shown. So obviously, poor decision, poor timing, poor everything. But do you think she deserved to not be on the show for the rest of the season?
Yes, only because just based on what we were talking about already, I think you need to be able to see yourself and make a misstep. We need to normalize the fact that missteps can still be steps in the right direction. If you go, that was a misstep, I'm sorry, I apologize that crossed the line. That's not who I am. That's not who I want to reflect as a brand, as a person, or whatever else, and sincerely apologize. Do I think she would have come back this season? No, but I think we would have at least had a chance to hear from her maybe at the reunion or come back next season or watch What Happens Live or anything. But the fact that she was like, and I would do it again, I'm like, yep, and we lost you.
But isn't that what we expect from Kenya Moore? Because what we like from certain housewives is ego. You know, like Kenya is all ego. I mean, a lot of talent, but all ego. And so ego, you know, that's a slow death, is an ego death. And sometimes these people have to go through one to admit that they actually made a mistake when they thought they were making a serve. She thought she was making a serve. Now, on the same token, though, you know, Brit Eady was talking about having like a pistol, and like that's insane.
Also, that yes, there were missteps for her. I just again think that we also didn't utilize that as an opportunity to be like, hey, listen, that's not what I meant. And even though she went on Watch What Happens Live and like kind of apologized for it, she also kind of did it. Her Watch What Happens Live, again, I'm a firm believer that show can either help or hurt you, either way. But there's no such thing as like a neutral. And I think it was very much like when Bose and Erica went on that I was like, this just hurt us. Like this did not make anything
Phillip,
any better.
right. Phillip,
This was bad.
what Phillip is referring to, I talked about it on the show when it happened, but Bose and Erica Jane went on, and it was just for Bose having such a phenomenal first season. It was like weird that it almost felt like being inducted into the evil stepsisters. And
Erica dragged her down to hell with her. It was bad. It was so bad.
Bose didn't need to do that. And it was like a slight ding. Like, I don't think it affected her overall season ranking, in my opinion, but it also said, ooh, are these shades of things to come? Because the second season will F a housewife up. You know, Heather Gay, I thought, had a real fall from grace the second season of Salt Lake. And totally. I'm so excited to see, because Bose is smart. Bose is smarter than your average housewife by oodles. And I'm so curious, but there is something attractive by being let into the cool clique, or the perceived cool clique.
What is going to happen with Katy on OC? Is she going to get eaten alive? Is Heather just going to finish the job?
I heard there was some real thing. Katy Janela on OC. I heard that by the end of the season, she doesn't make it.
I heard the same. I heard she does not make it through the entire
season. I'm trying to choose my words carefully, but she wasn't on the cast trip, and they've been able to keep that real quiet, whatever went down, which must be hard for Tamra to keep her mouth shut about it. But something went down with Katy Janela, so it'll be very interesting. But isn't that what we come to expect now? It's not even just storyline anymore. It's got to be storyline, and then the storyline spills over into reality, where we're writing blogs and we're talking about it on podcasts. It's not the days of 18 years ago with OC when Twitter was in its infancy and we were talking to our friends about it, but we weren't talking about it the way we talk about it now.
So did you see Kyle and Lindsay on Watch What Happens Live?
Oh yeah, Kyle. So he's referring to Kyle Cook and Lindsay Hubbard from Summer House, which I was gonna ask if you mess around with Summer House at all.
Oh, you know I do, and that episode of Watch What Happens Live for me was a season high. They've never been better.
See them fist bump? They've
never been better
with each other. And see, that's what it takes, folks. Is like never give up on people. Never like just say like now I'm acting like I have 2 master's degree, but like nothing is final in life. Is that people can repair. People can have good times with each other, and like that was such. They were both glowing that night. On Watch What Happens Live.
I somehow love Kyle Cook, even though he's 42 years old. And he's
still like, I love him too. And I know that's problematic of me to say, but I love that damn man.
The two of them going back and forth. And she's like, I just don't know why Carl just can't get over me. And he's like, I have so many sperm. And I'm like, this is crazy pants. The two of them going back to get like, and she's like, it's just that like things have changed for me so much since becoming like a mom. And he's like, Amanda, do you know how many sperm I have? I have so many.
Dude,
if someone else wants to have them, you can have it.
Kyle's storyline was that he had super sperm. And like, did you see the look on Amanda Petula's face when he said that? Like, she looked legitimately scared. She was like,
She's
oh God.
Scared for years. I'm like, Amanda, blink twice if you want out of this. We, as a Bravo community, will get you out of the marriage and you'll win. We will make sure you win.
Is there such a thing as like, what is that when you go into what is it? Witness
protection
Bravo protection program, like a Bravo protection program from your exes on Bravo. We should start that.
She's like, I can't. I'm making swimsuits. I wear glasses now, so I'm intellectual. And we're like, what's happening? What's going on? Is Amanda
I like
okay?
the glasses. I was like, hell yeah, I was into the glasses. Okay, what was your take then on Imrul from Summer House? Because Imrul, like, listen, I am a grown up. I've watched enough reality television to realize that Imrul, his whole story, like I know he isn't just, his whole life is about banging women. I understand that, but it is a reality show. It's like Deal or No Deal Island. You're trying to fit it into 42, 43 minutes. But what was your take on Imrul? Because then people were like, oh, he's being edited out. But then he popped up on the last episode. And I know he's at the reunion, but he's not on for both parts of the reunion. What do you think happened there?
I have a hot take. America. Don't hate me. Promise me you won't, America.
Oh my God. If all of America's listening right now, this is huge.
Right? This is a presidential address. So here's my problem with Summer House. The cast members of color, be it Maya, Gabby, Imrul, all
Sierra.
of them. Right, yes, especially Sierra. Their storylines are only told through the proximity of their white castmates. And I hate that because Sierra didn't become relevant until she's like, should I date Wes? And they were like, cameras up. And I was like, guys, she was interesting before. She was literally a nurse in New York for COVID. She's been a model. Like, she gave you all the things. And even Gabby gave you her twin sister. She's playing tennis. She's still trying to figure out her way through this like influencer culture when she just wanted to be like a young professional. She
like
did.
Maya.
She gave everything, and they just didn't get right.
Maya, like, she was cooking, like, she had the cookies, she had all of this stuff. But it is interesting if you look at it through that prism. Like, Sierra was brought on the show through Luke Goldbrinson, remember? Yep. And I think that is very interesting, that proximity. And by the way, if you're listening to this and you're like, no, don't feel threatened by it. I think it's just an actual fact. And that's just how that is. But how do we change those things? Like, how do we change the norms and make those just as popular as, quote unquote, the norms? Because in my opinion, I think we might find something even better, or like, better than the sum of its parts. When everybody is working at the same speed, that could be really exciting. Like, I'm worried that I'm like, is Gabby on the bubble for next season in the terms of, will she make it another season? Because she was firing off some pearls against West this past episode, but West made this point of, you don't even really have a storyline, dude. Like, you didn't do anything for 3 years. And I'm like, well, that a point is made, I guess, because she has not had enough camera time, but will she survive this season?
But my question is, did she not bring enough, or did the edit not help her? I feel like she brought all the things in season 1, and they were like, we're just going to use you as Lindsay's friend instead. And she said, if I can continue to collect the check and just be Lindsay's friend, and that's what you guys want, okay. She gave everything, and we didn't care. We didn't care. We were like, you know what? Okay.
She was given the Danielle role. And then, weirdly enough, Danielle was off the show, and then she was on this show this season more than she's been on previous seasons. By the way, Danielle was on this season more than Imrul.
I mean, also, yes. And if you look at Imrul's social media, he was like, I was doing things. I was out here opening schools for children in other countries. And they were like, maybe just a fuck boy. And he was like, I gave you so much.
Yeah, no, we like the orgy stuff really like a lot. Which, by the way, provided us a great, like, the mystery, the toe side. Wait, can you speak ill of Jesse Solomon for me for a second? What do you think of Jesse?
From Solomon to Solomon, we don't own him. We disown him. The sheer fact, the teeth, the only thing that I will own on him is we both have great teeth, but like, he doesn't open his up in order to speak. And so I just love the fact that he is doing all the wrong things. And he's like, I didn't think the girls would be against you if I just told them all you were insane. I don't understand what's happening. I'm like, what? That is manipulation to the nth degree. And I was like, how do you not understand what? He's like, I don't know what I did wrong. I'm like, you don't know what you did wrong? That's insanity. That is insanity.
There is, but he's also so aware of the cameras. Like, he wants this. You want to be on reality TV. He wants this in a way that he is willing to do. Like, he wants all of this. He wants all of this, and he will never reflect really properly on his own behavior until like 10 years from now. But he doesn't seem to understand. Like, even when Lexi was breaking up with him, he went up and did the thing that Lexi asked him not to do. Is like, don't go and like talk behind my back and da-da-da. And then he's up there, he goes, she's mad because of Sierra. And the conversation,
I think the real reason she's upset is because Sierra is not a girl's girl. And I was like, bro, you told your girlfriend you don't like this girl and she's been mistreating you. And she said, I agree with you because she doesn't treat your best friend well or the girl you're with. And then you went and hung out with her and she's like, I just don't get it because that doesn't add up. I'm like, to the average American, you're like, that makes sense. Yeah, that's a weird thing. But still, he's like, she's insane. She's crazy. And I was like, this is insane. Jesse Solomon, this is insane. But at the same time, Wes and Jesse bring the camp, the fun, the smiles that Craig and Austin used to bring, that Kyle and Carl used to bring, but they can't bring it anymore because they're old as fuck and they need to stop. But at this point,
that is a hot take. This is the take.
I mean, they brought them in because they bring what those guys are missing. What Schwartzy and Sandoval used to have, that's what they have now, and that's great.
Yeah,
But
they have the pre-Scandival stank that Schwartz and Sandoval used to have that
yeah,
we can't necessarily enjoy them in the same way. And West and Jesse, like, give them time. They'll fuck up royally one day. But
they
and by the way,
have
West
every
in
day.
some ways already have, but I'm talking like like it'll be earth-shattering potentially if we invest in them. And that's why I'm like, when I complain about reality stars, it doesn't mean that I want them off the show. It's like the opposite. I'm like, oh my God, I'm loving watching Jesse fumble around and try to like pit it on other people. That to me is great reality television. Listen, I only have 5 minutes. This has gone so amazing. First off, you have to promise me you're going to come back because this went even better than I was already expecting it to go. But before I let you go, you did go to the Katy Perry Lifetimes concert, and Katy Perry
Oh,
is taking a lot of heat lately, Phillip. And I need you.
oh,
Are we standing up for Katy? What do we feel about her? If you know, it's unfair to compare her to Beyonce and Taylor. But what was your experience at the Katy Perry Lifetimes concert?
okay. I won a ticket at a Soul Cycle class. They was like a raffle, and I
You
won.
won. You won a ticket.
I
Okay.
won. And so I was like, free concert on the floor, I'll go. I did not want to go. I've seen the videos and been like, absolutely not. But in that weird way where, like, again, Sheena Shea is like, I'm going to have an event. And you're like, yep, yes, you are. And I'm going to be right there for it because it's going to be a mess. So the lights go out. I'm just going to give you this. The lights go out. A cocoon emerges and is hung from the ceiling. She hatches in the first song, and I'm like, yup, here we are. And I put that cell phone right up. I said, fuck yes, I want this mess. I was like, this is what I want. She rides around the arena on a butterfly. There's aerial work, but they are flying her around mid-word, mid-song. You're not hearing a thing. And you're like, you know what? Yes, yes,
And
yes,
like,
yes.
there's a whole storyline. Like, there's like a video game storyline to the
There's an
concert,
hour
right?
that you're in space. Nobody knows why. Nobody knows why. Nobody knows why that there's aliens and robots. And the real idea of like the tour, I can tell you, is that nobody told her no. The tour, like she said, what if there was confetti? And they're like, mm-hmm. And she's like, and then aliens. She's like, and then what if I hatched out of a cocoon? And they're like, mm-hmm. It's like when you're planning a birthday party for a 6-year-old and you're like, ponies, a pinata, a cake, a clown, I'm in. Like, that's what it was. It was too many things, and it was the most amazing, not amazing thing I've ever seen in my whole life. It was a spectacle, and I would go back and see it again.
It's so bad it's good. Like, that's the
It
thing.
was
If you find yourself there, it is so ridiculous that it's good. And also, Katy Perry does have a great catalog, but she has some really interesting ideas. And in the age of the girly pop star and like actual phenomenal artists, I think Beyonce is an artist of a generation. Like, it is very hard to in this economy compete at the level that Katy Perry should or is at in her career. And so I almost think this could like reverse work for her, is that we all have made fun of it so much that it could really fuel it to a better place.
She came out there and owned all the messy parts, even that choreography dance break that she got destroyed for online in that Party City wig got destroyed, and she wore it again and did it again, proudly smiling. And then she sang Rise,
Right.
and she has everyone get quiet, and she goes, you're gonna love this. This one's for the troops.
Oh,
What? That's crazy. And I was like,
wow.
Yep.
Take that, Taylor Swift.
As a country, we needed this. You know what?
That's
We
a
needed the Katy Perry
healing
tour, and I
moment.
was here for it.
Phillip Solomon, I'm going to give you all of his information, but how else do we support you, Phillip? Because by the way, I need to talk to you every day. I've had a full day and I feel like I'm full of energy right now, man. You are just a light and I've had a blast. You have the best takes. I could have talked to you for another hour. How do we support you?
Please support me on Venmo or PayPal. Actually, don't. No. Don't do that. But you can find me on social media. I am at Phillip Solomon, all O's, SOLOMON _ on Instagram, TikTok. And if you don't find me there, I'm probably at Barry's or Costco. Like, those are all the things I do in a day. And like, it's either Instagram or He samples. Like, that's what being a millennial is right now, and I'm here for it.
That's called a well-rounded life.
A
You are
well-rounded.
amazing. We've got to talk again because this was a blast. And you guys go follow him. You're gonna. I know we are going to be hearing so much from him in the future. I truly believe in this dude. And dude, I hope to talk to you again very soon.
The work that you do is insane. I will continue to listen to and support you forever and ever, my friend.
Thanks, dude.
Bye.